All right, so we're moving on to the next chapter finally. Okay, now we're talking about chords of fourths, quartal harmony, chords by fourths. 20th century composers used chords by fourths as well as tertian harmony, which is chords by thirds, of the common practice era. The common practice era are more chords by thirds. That's what we've been doing for a very, very long time. Quartal material, quartet material, comes from ornamentation of the triad, something like in this kind of a situation. So we have a triad, and we have ornamented notes that are moving above, below the triad. So this is where you hear fourths. So in a way, it comes from this style, or it comes from medieval polyphony, where you had fourths moving like this. So there were fourths, were used in common practice tonality. They always were this ambiguous interval, depending on counterpoint. Some rules, when the voices were moving, they could be used. They couldn't be used as chords. They could be used melodically. They weren't used really as a harmony. But of course, 20th century now, we don't have to follow any of these old prohibitions. So chord by fourths are built by superimposing intervals of the fourth. To preserve the quartal sound, most chord members must be placed a fourth apart. So here we have a chord by fourths. Here's another chord by fourths. Here's an 11th chord, which is... Here's a 13th chord. So it could be, you could spell it this way, or you could voice it this way, right? So this is spacing by fourths, and this is spacing in terms of thirds and seconds. There's an added note chord, is another fourths chord. So to give the quartal sound, you want to use this spacing as opposed to these versions. 3, 4, and 5 note chords by perfect fourths have a distinctive pentatonic flavor, as the 5-note form contains all steps of the diatonic pentatonic scale, or the black keys. Starts with a A sharp, I guess. Right, that's the pentatonic scale, all the black keys.
That's like Quartal.
Chords by perfect fourths are ambiguous because, like chords built by equidistant intervals, so we have some chords like that, diminished seventh chords or augmented chords, any member can function as the root. We all understand that, right? If you think of C diminished, C, E flat, G flat, A. Any of those notes can be the root of that chord because they're all going to be minor thirds. Same thing with an augmented, C, E, G sharp. Any of those 3 notes can be the root, and then the intervals remain the same. So chords by perfect fourths are the same way. So this is a voicing here. It can move to this way. Now the root has moved up here. So there's got a C root. Do we have a recording of this one?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. From the
Oh, we lost, I think. Okay, so we can see here, depending on how they're voiced, the root can be any of these notes, depending on the movement and how you want to the point before we play it. The voice with the most active melodic line will function as the center of the key. Now that's an important point. So as you can see here, these are static chords, static notes. This is a moving line. So the moving line becomes the root to our ear. Does it really matter? No, because remember, analysis of your own music is for yourself, really. So, does it matter that we hear this, or this is thought of as a C? Not really, but it is interesting to think about it because I like this point, that the voice that is moving is the voice that becomes more established in this ambiguous tonality.